Lou here. Alright, so rather than doing a scripted video and just kind of taking 10 years to do it, I thought I'd do a sort of unscripted video and pretty much talk about my thoughts on Final Fantasy VII Remake. So, roll the intro and let's get started. Combat is really interesting because, as I'm sure some of you know who are Final Fantasy fans, you know that there are a lot of fans who still want a turn-based style or strategy style combat, while there are others like myself who prefer the more JRPG aspect of it, where it's more like Kingdom Hearts' combat. Now, Final Fantasy VII remedied this by basically making the game have two different play styles. One is very tactical based, so the characters attack on command and it's more focused on commands that you give the characters. And the second one is more JRPG focused with some commands in place. So because this is a JRPG game now, you also can now play pretty much every character. And I think every character is really unique and actually super useful to play. As a basic example that they give you in the demo, Cloud is very close combat focused and kind of slow in his attacks, while Barret is fast, but he's better for long ranges, you know? So it's stuff like that. And for those wondering about Tifa, because she's everyone's waifu, Tifa pretty much plays like a Street Fighter character, where her whole thing and her whole combat focus is combos and punches. So pretty much play her as you would if she were like in Smash Bros or something. Now, a lot of people were telling me, like friends, people on Twitter and Tumblr, they were all telling me that pretty much 7's combat is pretty much a perfected version of 15's combat. And I would say yes, in a way. However, I'm gonna disagree because personally, I think 7's combat is a perfected version of Type 0's combat. Because I did notice that Final Fantasy VII Remake and Type 0 both have extremely similar combats of switching out characters and a select set of moves, and each character having their own positives and negatives. However, in Type 0, the issue was that a lot of characters played too similarly to each other, so it was like, why do we have two characters that play exactly the same? However, in Final Fantasy VII Remake, you have extremely unique characters like Barret, Tifa, Aerith, that red dog thing, I think his name's 13. I always forget him because I always think he's the most, like, forgotten character of 7 because everyone's thirsting after Tifa and Aerith, while I'm just here thirsting after Cloud and Sephiroth. But anyway, so yeah, I just think that 7 really perfected the severe issues I had with Type 0, and I know that doesn't really make sense to say that it's perfecting Type 0's combat when A, Tetsuya Nomura had nothing to do with Type 0, and B, it's not even the most recent Final Fantasy game. However, like I said, the gameplay aspect is very similar to 7's in terms of like basic outline, but, you know, it perfected it. Also, switching out characters is like really fluid now. Like, it's not a jump in quality, you know, when you switch out characters. And I don't have to pick a long list of characters if I want to play them. It's like, you switch them out, have fun, kiddo. Another thing added to the gameplay is now side quests, which are basically, because Cloud is a mercenary, you get to do some mercenary work around the, you know, slum area, which is actually pretty interesting. I mean, there's some quests I really didn't like I absolutely despised the one where you had to find the cats all over the place because they're so tiny, but other than stupid quests like that, some of the side quests are actually really fun and well made. Overall, the combat really does manage to please both old fans of Final Fantasy VII and new fans of Final Fantasy VII. Like, it's honestly perfect gameplay. And I know that sounds crazy, because Square Enix is known for their perfectly flawed games, but in this case, it genuinely is perfection. Like, I have no issues with the combat in this game, unlike every other Square Enix game I've played. Okay, so the story. Now, the story for 7 is an environmental message, so it's gonna be a little hand-fisted, and I'm not gonna lie, it is hand-fisted. However, like I said, it's an environmental story, and environmental stories are always hand-fisted. Like, I have never seen an environmental story where it was subtle and like not in your face about it. And I guess that makes sense that they're kind of like really like in your face about it, because I mean, it is an important topic to discuss, so I get it. But sometimes it was a smidge annoying when Barrett kept talking about how the planet was crying and dying. Like, hi, yes, Barrett, I'm here in the slums. I see the planet is dying. And yeah, but I get it. He's telling Cloud, who is like as stubborn as a brick wall. So the game also has subtle hints of class divide as well. Like, the biggest example was Cloud saying, oh, well, if the planet's dying, just leave. And Barrett's like, yeah, Cloud, not everyone has the gil to just like pick up their shit and leave to another planet. Basically saying that, you know, there's people with no money, and so they have no choice but to live in a place like this. And this may come as a shock to you all, but I've never actually played the original Final Fantasy VII. Obviously, I know all the major spoilers for the game, and by major spoilers, I mean Aerith, but other than that, with Aerith, I actually have no idea what goes on in the story other than like a brief summary of what I read on the wiki before watching Advent Children. So even though I've never personally played it, I will say that from what I've seen of like, you know, quick gameplay and all that, the original dialogue for Final Fantasy VII was really corny. Like, it was very much a product of its time with its corniness, except Sid's line of shut up and drink your damn tea is always a mood. But anyway, what I'm glad about is they didn't keep that cheesy dialogue, as apparently some fans still wanted the cheesy dialogue. I mean, all I wanted was a dorky let's mosey, but that's fine. Overall, I feel like the writing for this is a lot better. Yes, the environmental message, it's still really hand-fisted, but then again, with that kind of story, there's no subtle way to talk about it. You pretty much just have to be in your face about it. Not only that, but the dialogue feels a lot more organic, I guess, and I don't know if that's due to the voice acting or it's just the new script obviously implemented into the game, but characters speaking to one another feels a lot more fluid, and it feels less like two people like 5 feet away are writing completely different dialogue options. Now, because this is a remake, you know, they can't do the game copy for copy because there's some things now established thanks to Crisis Core and Advent Children that are in Final Fantasy VII's lore that don't really line up or match with the original game. So things have been rewritten to kind of like, I guess, feel better continuity. Because I don't know if many of you know this, but Gact, who voices my favorite Vocaloid Gakupo, he plays Genesis in the Japanese version of Crisis Core, and even Genesis is modeled after him, because apparently he's a huge fan of Final Fantasy VII or something like that, so they made this whole character for him. And there's some copyright issues regarding Genesis, so they can't really port the game to anything else. So yeah, Crisis Core is stuck on the PSP still, and I'm still salty about it. Now, one of the new things they added were these like ghosty things. I don't know what they're called, but I'm gonna call them Dementors because that's exactly what they look like. So these Dementor things are now implemented into the lore. I honestly have no idea what the fuck they mean to the story or anything in it. My assumption is that they are the ghost thingies of the aliens and all that's in the insane lore behind Final Fantasy VII, but that's just me. And it's a weird thing. I obviously know they're gonna explain it better once we get to like part 2, or as I've heard some fans call it Disc 2, but still, kinda weird, but I'm liking it. Overall, the story for Final Fantasy VII Remake is really good. I like the changes they added in. I like the subtle hints at the basic outline of Crisis Core, even though, as I said, both Crisis Core and Advent Children aren't canon anymore. Overall, really great story actually. I know people have their criticisms over an environmental message, because for some people it's too preachy, or maybe it's just not relevant right now due to certain issues going on in the world. But I like it. Really good story. So now on to characters. So, unlike my other videos where I basically go down a list, I'm basically gonna speed run through this, because as I said, this is an unscripted video, so pretty much I'm just going off the top of my head. Alright, so Cloud. I really like his character. I love how sarcastic he is. I love how moody he is. I love how he's just basically, all of this is just not his problem, which is a mood. And I just love him a lot. He's actually kind of funny in his sarcasm. But that's just me. I don't know if people find sarcastic characters funny, but like I said, that's just me. Now, I know Tifa is everyone's waifu. Like, if you have a top 10 list of Final Fantasy VII waifus, Tifa is always gonna be at number 1 or number 2 on that list. Number 1 is probably Yuna, but most of the time it's Tifa. And I had a weird view on Tifa prior to this, because my assumption was that she was the generic waifu and it was Aerith who had the character. But actually, Tifa is a really great character and I really like her. She's helpful, she wants to make the world a better place. I just really liked her. I absolutely love Barrett. He is hilarious, he's charming, and I love that he's so determined in his goals. And also the fact that I love that he is a wonderful parent to Marlene. Not many people know this, but I absolutely love the trope of big, strong, tall man having like this little tiny child to look after. It's adorable, and I love it so much, and I love him so much. Aerith, I actually really like her. In the original, I also thought Aerith was a generic waifu. Maybe more so than Tifa, because of the fact that Aerith dies and Cloud's sad about it. So my assumption was that she's built up to be the perfect wife and all that, and then she dies and then you're sad. But actually, I like Aerith's personality in this. I love how like sweet but also really silly and playful she is. I don't know if it's because what I was seeing was later in the game where maybe she's in serious mode or something, but I love how playful she is. Like, she's really adorable. Sephiroth. You guys already know my feelings on Sephiroth. If you don't, I am major thirsty for Sephiroth. Like, he is easily the most attractive character in this game, next to Vincent Valentine, who is my number 1 husbando of all time. However, Sephiroth in this game, 10 out of 10, amazing, love him, great. I know he's just PTSD flashbacks throughout the majority of this game, but I love him every time he's on screen. However, I like the voice actor they chose for him, but I'm gonna be honest, I really prefer the older one. There's just something so mysterious and kind of hot about his old voice actor, but that's just me, and I am constantly thirsty for Sephiroth and Vincent, so overall, the characters, I really love them. They're all charming, they're all very well written, they're all really likable. There's no one I feel could have been written better. Like, they really did improve a lot from the original, where a lot of characters felt really hokey or kind of stereotypical. Overall, I absolutely love this game. At the time of me recording this, I played it for a solid like 6 hours yesterday, and yes, I am very tired from playing it so long, and I'm still gonna play it later today. But overall, I absolutely love this game. This game is so much fun to play. Everything about it is just so much fun, and it genuinely feels like a perfected version of Final Fantasy VII. Like, if you ever wanted a definitive version of a Final Fantasy game to play, I would say play Final Fantasy VII, because this is genuine perfection to me. And to some, they may not agree with me, and that's fine and dandy, bro. But for me, I think this game is perfection. And that would be it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the unscripted format. I tried my best. I probably sounded a little all over the place, But anyway, let me know down below what you guys think of Final Fantasy VII Remake. Do you love it? Do you hate it? And who's your husbando or waifu? For me, y'all already know it's Vincent Valentine and Sephiroth as my top tier husbandos for Final Fantasy VII. But I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts, so let me know down below. Hey guys, thanks for watching! If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing if you're new. And if any old or new subs would like to help support the channel in any possible way, my Ko-fi page is down below in the description along with all of my social media. For any subscribers, new or old, who would like to help with video ideas or maybe just want to talk about anime or something, then I have a fan server linked down below. See you next time!